All right, we're going. Lex Pins and Pete show, week 15, uh, playoff preview episode. We have two pins. We have Slippery Pete here.
Not only was
just wanna
Slippery
say-
Pete here, but Slippery Pete was 30 minutes early.
That is true. George showed up around 8:03, I believe. We were already here working, prepping for the show. It's all about doing the things. It's all about what you do when people aren't watching. Pete and I are men of integrity. George just kind of shows up, gets to work. It's okay. As long as he performs well on the show. I guess that will be something that we see moving forward. George, you have anything to say?
No, I'm gonna start. I'm kind of the shining light of this show, so I just show up. I'm like Stephen A. I just show up and do my thing.
All right, so I guess we'll get right into. I guess we'll start with just a quick read through the final standings. There was a little bit of shakeup. Starting at 12. I guess no surprises here. The non-playoff teams. We already discussed that on the last episode, but Team 3, Slippery Pete and Slacky, Most Athletic Sons, Snake Bitten, Occasional Vibers. That's 12 through 7. I stayed at 6, the Slow Stroke Kings. McMorrow got bumped down to 5th. Was he already at 5th? Or was he 4th, right? He got bumped down because the Zits got bumped down after Mikey beat him out. Mikey got the 3 seed. He got the well, I guess he didn't get a bye. He still missed out on the bye. I guess he gets home field advantage in the first playoff. He faces me. Many people are saying he's a fraudulent 3 seed. I wouldn't say that. I've been pretty high on him all season. I've been saying he's a team that's capable of exploding and going on a run. So I think he belongs in that 3 seed. I've had him ranked as high as 1 during the season. He will be going against me. Zitz versus McMorrow will be the other matchup. And then Two Pins and Big Brain, they have the first round bye.
Congratulations, George.
Yeah, applause to George for that. He's been very humble throughout the whole process of getting to that top spot. So I guess we'll get to that in a second, but I think before we really dive into the playoff picture, we'll just go over the draft order. I do have it here. So the top 6, that's what we're calling the lottery. That has been locked in because that is just decided by regular season max points 4. I guess in traditional fashion, we'll start at 6 and we'll work our way down to 1. I think I'll read the current owner of the pick and say who the pick is from as I read it. So we'll start at 6. We got Team 3 by way of the Occasional Vibers. At 5, we have Slacky. At 4, we have Team 3 by way of the Most Athletic Sons. At 3, we have the Occasional Vibers by way of Snake Bitten. At 2, we have Snake Bitten by way of Slippery Pete.
Yeah.
And then at 1, we have Team 3. I guess the initial reaction, I'll pass it off to you guys, is that Team 3, they did end up with 3 first round picks. They have 1, 4, and 6. I don't know how much you guys have looked into the upcoming draft. I don't know what you guys think of the value of those 3 picks. George, we'll start with you.
Did I miss it, or does Pete not have any picks in this draft?
I've got
He has
2.
picks in the draft. They're just
not decided yet.
Yeah, they have not been set. Both teams are in
No.
the
I'm talking about. No, I'm sorry. You might have missed it. I'm talking about Slippery in a magnificent rebuild, Pete. can you check again to make sure? Because I'm sure that in his magnificent rebuild, he certainly must have a couple of. I mean, he traded Joe Mixon, so can you see where his
Well,
Joe
so
Mixon picks are? in
I'll
his
step
lottery?
in here before Pete answers, because I think this should be said. When Pete made his trades for his picks, he did trade with a team, and he's gotten some flack for this. He traded with a team that owned his first round pick. He traded Russell Wilson, didn't get the first round back, but Pete was targeting picks from future drafts. So maybe we'll go back to Pete now, just to get a comment on what do you think of the value of these 3 picks that Team 3 has? Just because they did, the rebuild is kind of their plan. They ended up with the top 6, but I don't think you're somebody that's high on this draft class. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, very low in this draft class. I actually got off the phone with Todd McShay a couple of weeks ago. Just kind of putting a plan together for his first mock draft that he released, I believe, 2 days ago. If you had the chance to look, George, one offensive player, McShay and Pete have one offensive player going off the board in the top 10 picks. I mean, this draft is trash. Team 3 is screwed. But everyone gave me shit for not getting my pick back from Simcoe. That's going to be the number 2 overall this year. I need a quarterback, but it's not going to come from this draft class. And yeah, sure, I could take a shot on a wide receiver at number 2. But I think I can get a wide receiver that's probably just got as much upside at either 7, probably, because McMurrow's not looking good in the playoffs. And then the worst big brain pick could be is probably 9. So I've got 2 picks, likely 7 to 9 range, that I'm happy with. I'm going to get 2 receivers, or at least a flex position that's got as much upside as whoever I get number 2. So yeah, I targeted draft picks in 23 and 24. I didn't really need that number 2. I'm content with the 2 I'm going to have in the later rounds or later picks of the first round. And I think Team 3 is fucked. Like, there's just this draft class is not one you want to build stake a rebuild on.
So I got a couple of things that I want to say. First of all, I told Pete everything that he just said. That's the first thing. The second thing is that although I did tell Pete everything that he just said, and in his response, some of the things that he said were accurate, where he's failing to realize is that actually in shallow drafts, NFL drafts, so when the draft is shallow, like player-wise in the NFL, that is actually when having high draft picks in fantasy becomes the most valuable, because the draft is literally not deep. So the highest player, let's say Alabama Jameson Williams in a deep NFL draft, you might be able to see him at pick like 8 or 9. By the time you get to pick 8 or 9 in this draft, there's not going to be anybody really worth of value, because they're going to have been going like super, super early. Where like, if you look at this fast draft that we just had, where we had 5 quarterbacks, that already, I mean, I got Devontae Smith in, what I get Devontae Smith pick like 10 or 11. Devontae Smith in this draft is maybe pick 1.01 or 1.02. So that's where you kind of misjudge it a little bit. You get high talent in these early rounds at the beginning of the rounds, because of the fact that the actual draft itself is shallow. And so those later round picks actually lose a good amount of value there overall. So you kind of maybe, I think what your argument, I think that's true in the round, like in the space of the draft where you have picks. I don't think that's true at the top of the draft, because like I said, that's where the talent's going to be.
Pete, you got anything to say to that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I get where he's coming from. I think the last draft was one of a kind. Like, we're not getting that talent in that draft again. The wide receivers were pretty clear cut. Like, everyone knew Chase, Waddle, and Smith were going to be studs in the league. This year, I don't think Jameson Williams is like that much of a standout compared to like a Garrett Wilson or like Chris Olave.
Were you waiting for like the next slide on whatever?
Well, no, I'm messaging McShay back and forth over here, but yeah, no, I just don't think it's that clear cut. Like I'm okay where I'm at. I think I get 2 flex guys that could be as just high of a ceiling as anyone I get at like 2 or 3.
So I'm
But I get
somebody
where
that I
George is
think that
coming
there's I think that there's value. I'm somebody that thinks that there's value everywhere in the draft, and I think that if you just kind of pay attention enough, you can find it. I've had some pretty good luck with rookie drafts, with first, second, third round picks, whatever. So I don't think that, I think that when you look at it, when you isolate things and you look at the fact that in this draft, Pete did get picks that are, I'd say at least one pick is projecting to be later. I mean, Big Brain's pick can't be any lower than ninth. I think McMorrow's pick, it could end up at being uh, seventh or eighth this week. So I don't think, when you look at it that way, sure, Pete should have in this draft tried to get a higher pick because of the maybe the scarcity of premier talent. But overall, he still did get his first rounder back in next year's draft. He does have two more first rounders there. So, I've also been somebody that's traded away a lot of picks. Because I think I can just kind of get them back. But it's like I'd rather just have the player in hand. So, with every draft, it comes down to what you actually do with the picks. It doesn't really matter what picks you have.
Definitely,
yeah,
definitely credit for George though for the take that earlier picks are more valuable than later picks.
Yeah, no,
that's a good one.
for sure.
That's a good one. It's good.
People swing and miss on picks all the time. You can pull up a ton of drafts, dynasty drafts where, N'Keal Harry was like a top pick in non-super flex leagues, and he fucking sucked. And there were players that went after him that were way better. So, it comes down to, and that's always a thing like Fitz or, team three going all in on just acquiring the picks. It's just like, all right, well, now you have to nail those picks or it's just not going to work. And, so it comes down to, it's not the sword, it's who fucking wields it. Whatever.
Yeah, I'd push back on that a little bit. I think, like I said earlier, Pete, you just made a good point that I made a good point. So credit to me for giving you credit for giving me credit. Where team three also has a lot of value if they get a good manager is, as I said, because you're going to have to jump up in this draft to get you're not seeing Chris Olave at 7. It's not going to happen. He's going to be gone. And that's because this is a shallower draft where last year maybe he's in that 10, 11, 12 range, or even that 7, 8 range. I mean, you look at somebody like Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams in a draft that's not as deep as 1.01. He doesn't go that high because of how deep the draft was last year. So what's good for team three is that if another team has identified a player that they want, they have to get way up the board to go and get that player. Whereas last year, you could jump in. Kieran, this. You jumped in late first round. You were able to snag your quarterback, right?
I did the same with Pitts too. I jumped in 6th, 7th pick and
6, 7 exactly. But if you start looking at it again, transplant those players to this draft, you think about where they'd be selected. Now that trade capital that you got to use to get up there might be a little bit more, might not make making that trade worth it. So those are the things you got to consider. So I think when Sean Fitz had the picks, I thought that team three was in a pretty laughable position. But now that nobody is managing that team, I think that they're in a pretty strong position.
Yeah, but I think too, it still remains as an asset to pick. Because it also doesn't have to be used on a rookie. It could also be a situation like last year where I saw an opportunity to jump in and get somebody that I really wanted. So I traded off, a receiver or running back or whatever. And, that could be a way where he doesn't just have to make all of his, just because he's rebuilding his assets, don't have to be picks. Like they could just be players that could become expendable at the deadline and he could just trade them off again and, get more picks in a future draft. All of a sudden he could be the one that owns the 2023 draft or something because he cashed in at the deadline.
That's true. I'm very confident in Pete's ability to make trades.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I'm definitely
point.
liable to all of a sudden be the man.
Well, at some point, I think everybody, they got to get their ass kicked a little bit in Dynasty and then you just kind of figure it out. So I think at some point, maybe it'll kick in. I don't know. Any other reactions? I mean, Simcoe, he's got the 2nd pick. I know that he's just going to take, well, I don't know. I mean, he's definitely going to take the best running back available. I forget who it is that he has mentioned earlier in the college football season, people that he did like. I don't really remember who it was, but he's taking a running back. I don't know who Team 3's owner will be. But do they take a quarterback? I mean, it's a weak quarterback draft, or do you just maybe try and load up on some running backs and and other than receivers, I guess. And I think this could maybe be a draft where some quarterbacks fall and then all of a sudden they just become valuable. They go from kind of being not somebody that you want on a team to like, well, if he's there, I could just take it. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what goes on at 1.
It'll depend a
know.
lot on the NFL draft. Like, there's a couple NFL teams that are going to have rookies starting next year. Like, whoever Pittsburgh drafts is going to be starting next year. So, like, if he's available, maybe Sim takes him.
There have actually been rumors that Mason Rudolph could be the bridge quarterback next year.
No, he's still got a dent in his head.
But that's also the thing too. It is kind of too early to react to pick value just because, somebody like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he was like the 4th ranked running back. And then all of a sudden he gets drafted by the Chiefs and he went shot up to number 1. And obviously he hasn't really lived up to those expectations, but he did just gain like a ton of steam and that just shifted the entire draft. And all of a sudden you could see a team where maybe a player, any position could be drafted where all of a sudden it's like, yeah, they're going to make him the man. They really see something and he shoots up from being projected 12th to like he's like a must-have guy at 6. I mean, we see guys that kind of shoot up like that all the time. So, it is maybe a little too early to react. Maybe closer to draft time, we'll have a much better idea. But yeah, I mean, interesting way for the draft lottery to shake out. We got 4 of the 6 picks. They're owned by other teams. And then team 3 and Ed Slacky were the only 2 that held on. I'm sure maybe if Team Ed Slacky had an active owner, maybe that pick would have changed hands at some point. But
maybe just a shred of activism, like one small shred.
What are you gonna do? I don't know. So we can kind of move on from draft talk. We can get, we're at the end of the regular season, so I think maybe we can look back on some predictions that were made. Maybe compare the power rankings. I don't know, Pete, how do you want to do it? I feel like you worked a little bit more on this.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great idea. Let's compare Lex's preseason power rankings to the final regular season finish. It'd actually be really good if we had like a graphic or something we could look at. If only like maybe we put that together. I don't know, George. Did you put anything together?
Or do you want me to open it up for you?
Yeah, open it up.
All right, I'll
Is
do
Pete
it.
talking to me? I don't actually respond to Pete. So you got to let me know if he's ever talking.
Well, let me see. How can I...
George, I'm talking to you right now. Last thing on the draft.
Hey, Pete, are you saying that you prepared something for this meeting, but that you did not have it prepared to show? Is that what you were just saying? That the only person
No,
that
I was
actually
saying
had the thing
it would be
that
nice if
was-
someone from the group, did prepare something. And then,
Did you prepare something?
I actually did.
Okay, got it. No, I just wanted to double check on that.
George,
Glad you
last
came
thing
to-
about the draft class thing, I do want to put you on the
All
record
right,
here.
is my screen shared? Do we have a slideshow up?
There we go.
All right, we got the slideshow up. It's up. We're good.
It's up. We're good.
All right, so let me move this over to here. I guess we'll read. We're gonna go bottom up.
Bottoms up.
We're gonna start bottom up. I don't know why it just feels right to do that. So we'll go
Bottoms up.
on
Got
the
a
left.
couple
We had
bottles,
my preseason
couple aren't enough.
rankings. On the right, we have the regular season finish. It looks like the first 5 and kind of rip right through because I just nailed it. Team 3, Pete, and Slacky, Suns, Simcoe. George, any initial reactions to the fact that first 5 was a clean sweep?
Honestly, impressive, especially with fantasy. Anything can really happen. So in that situation, I will give you your flowers, especially to get them in order. I mean, the thing that's really impressive is that you got them in order, not just that you got all 5 of them. I think getting all 5 of them was probably a little bit easier to predict, but getting them spot on the way they finished, I think you definitely gotta give yourself credit for that. Give yourself a good pat on the back.
All right, Pete, you got anything to say about that?
Yeah, no, I think the bottom two were locks. Like that was easy. On Slocky, also not much of a reach. Like I kind of expect 3 out of 3, just based off of your history, KB, of knowing what you're doing. I think the Suns could have performed better. Like I thought they were a little. I think I remember saying I thought that was a little low for them on the first show. But I don't know. They ended up where they were going to end
Yeah,
up.
you did say that you were wrong.
Yeah, I was wrong. Big of me to admit
That
that.
is something, right? He's trying to turn it into a positive for him, but at the end of the day, he was dead wrong. So it was a perfect ranking. So, but yeah, and then I mean,
I think
Simcoe, I
Simcoe was
just
a
nailed
great,
it. He was
great
just
call. Like Simcoe at 8, that was impressive.
yeah, but
Putting him
who?
at
I
8
mean, who
and
didn't see
finishing.
that coming at the end of the day, right? I mean, come on, man with no plan. Am I right, George? All right, at 7, I had Go Tigers. Um, I'm trying to think about how we should purchase. So I was wrong. The occasional Vibers, they finished there. I don't know. I mean, the Vibers, they kind of, I guess we'll start with them. They kind of just got derailed by Kyler Murray injuring his ankle. You go from having Josh Allen and Kyler Murray, to not having that. That's a big loss. That's dominance and Superflex, and then I know Terry McLaurin, he dealt with some, I don't know if there was injuries or down weeks, but AJ Brown obviously dealing with injuries. It was just kind of inconsistency on a week to week basis of who was going to play and who wasn't. So I think that they're a good team. They can be very dangerous in certain spots, but I think maybe next year when they heal up, I think they'll be a much more serious contender. George, I don't know, you got anything to say?
Yeah, a couple of things. When I talked to Igor this year, he was so bullish on AJ Brown, and he told me AJ Brown was gonna like be a wide receiver one in fantasy this year, and look at the volume that he's gonna sustain, and this, that, and the third. He was terrible. And then he told me all these good things about Antonio Gibson, and I traded for Antonio Gibson because I was desperate for a back. But he told me Antonio Gibson, DCCMC, is going to be RB1, this, that, and the third. He's terrible. So, I think, these are things that we got to start looking at as a league, and just, who is the people that are supposed to know what they're, know what they're doing, and what people that are not supposed to know what they're doing. And then I think overall, how much of it is, the kind of power play that Igor's taken over the occasional Vibers versus you got to wonder if Talon was more involved in this team, if they might have, had a different outcome. You got to wonder that. I mean, I think that's fair to say. So those are kind of the questions that come to mind when I look at this team.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's certainly a fair question. There has been kind of an absence at the helm of the team. There are reports that lineups weren't getting set because they were out partying and doing things of that nature. So you do kind of have to wonder what the direction of that team is going to be and if they're going to be able to rebound next year. You're totally right about AJ Brown. I mean, he just wasn't there week to week. Whether it was actually being healthy and available to play, which maybe might have been worse off for them because he's somebody you have to start if he's playing, and he rarely showed up. But they have the names. They got quite a haul at the deadline. They made off like bandits when they traded Antonio Gibson. So they do have a lot of first round picks coming up. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see what that turns into. Pete, you got any reaction to where the Vibers finish?
Yeah, I mean the talent, it is what it is. Like they underperformed all year. AJ Brown, Terry McLaurin, Fitz obviously with the injury, but I just can't take this management group seriously. They're drinking, smoking, fucking, plotting, scheming, and I just can't take them seriously. They're not back-to-back years now. Call it intentional tanking, call it a fuck up. Either way, I think they got what they deserved. And speaking about AJ Brown, George, KB, quote from your preseason blog: AJ Brown has become a true alpha wide receiver, while Terry McLaurin looks to break out in his third year after finishing as wide receiver 20 last season. AJ Brown, true alpha wide receiver. Kind of a miss there.
Is that what was the exact quote?
AJ Brown has become a true alpha wide receiver.
he had become now, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I guess he just didn't stay healthy. He popped off for a couple games, but most of the season was just like 6 to 9 points or something. And maybe it's just one of those seasons where he was just always playing injured or something. But yeah, he definitely didn't live up to that. I'm a man of integrity. I'll admit when I'm wrong. There I was wrong. I'm glad you brought that up. I would have lost sleep. I was actually hoping you'd bring that up. So I would like to put my hand up and say that I was wrong about AJ Brown. Moving on. Well, I guess we could now we'll talk about Mikey too, since we did his team at the same time. So I was also wrong on Mikey, I guess, and part of it was, in one sense, I was right because he was the 6th seed before he won the division, but once he got that division crown, he shot all the way up to the 3. So I guess I didn't pencil him in as a divisional winner. I thought the Zits, I thought they had that, especially a couple weeks ago. George, I'll let you speak first on your pal. What do you think about Mikey exceeding the expectations?
I want to say credit to Mikey. A lot of people say a lot of things about Mikey, but the thing that guy does is just keeps head down and he keeps grinding, he keeps working every single day. I think in this scenario, you're kind of like the Indianapolis Colts, and Mikey's kind of like Mac Jones. They asked Mac, what do you think of these guys? They're saying this, they're saying that about you. And he said, my job is to try to be the best quarterback that I can be. And that's kind of how Mikey, responded when you said that, he was going to be 7. He said his job is to be the best, fantasy football owner that he can be. And that's what he went out there and executed. And, you see the results are the second highest variance of any team. So, he's a guy who's just going to keep his nose to the grindstone. He's just going to refuse to trade any of his players. He's just going to text you, Instagram, DM you, tweet you, whatever the social media that he has you on is when any of his players are going off or any activities going on in the league chat. And he's going to do all that and keep working and keep grinding. And, you see the results of it. So, I got to give him credit there.
Pete, what do you got on Mikey?
He's going to text me after this.
Yeah, no, I mean, he can have the credit. +4 in the rankings. That's awesome. But I just wish I could celebrate it. I was team Mikey for the beginning half, even probably 3/4 of the way into the season, rooting for that rebuild to be pulled off. And then, unfortunately, he betrayed my trust. And, I'm a man of integrity. I'm a big trust guy. And once you break that, it's hard to get back. It's hard to get it back from Pete. So yeah, good for him, but I just can't root for him anymore.
A man of integrity and a big trust guy. Do you apply that? Is that just a one-way street type of thing? Let's play out a hypothetical scenario. Let's say hypothetically you had told somebody that you would definitely let them match any trade that you receive, and or let's say
not match, again, try and match. Just give them an attempt.
Try and match. No, let's just say like you said you would tell them about a trade and then you never told them that was going to happen. Would you say in your scenario that would be some level of mistrust and that person
and that there were texts to after a proposed 3-team trade, there were texts that leaked saying, let's boot Kieran out of this and just us. And then all of a sudden there's a 3-team deal that gets made. Just a detail I wanted.
Yeah, just do me a favor and rate that on, I guess, a scale of 1 to 5 integrity, and then maybe a scale of 1 to 10 trust level. I just want to get a rating on that from you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna play your game with a scale, but it's fantasy football dynasty trading. Promises are made, promises are broken.
It's a cutthroat business.
That's the trade.
I will
price of doing business, and we've been crying. You guys both been crying about this for 5 weeks now. Like, let's put it to bed. But one thing I will add at the end.
Just brought up
you got anything on what were you saying, Pete?
The last thing I was going to say about Mikey's team is, Kieran, you said you were wrong with Mikey's team, but I think you hit the nail on the head here. Going back to the preseason blog, you said, this is a roster that could quickly shoot up the rankings. I simply would like to see it happen before drooling over the team that finished dead last in points for last season. I mean, going into this year, everyone was like, Mikey's the favorite. He's got this roster, all these rookies that are locks to be studs. And yeah, you acknowledge the fact that he could shoot up the rankings, which he did.
Yeah, and he had to grind. He really had to grind to get that 3rd place. It took a last place or a last week win just to get there. And if he didn't get it, he would have been the 6th seed. So, I think that, at the end of the day, I would be going on freezing cold takes, but if he allowed me to justify it, then I think that there can't be much hate on my ranking, despite it being the highest positive variance. I don't know, George, you got anything else to add on Mikey's team? We'll
Nope.
leave it at that. All right. Moving on to 6. Another one that I got right. This is the last one that I had exactly right. It's myself. If you don't know yourself, then what do you know? Who do you know, right? I nailed it. 6th place. I think part of it helped that I knew it would be an uphill battle to win the division. Ended up being not as difficult as an attempt as I thought it would be. I was right there. Did have a chance to maybe sneak into the division lead. But I ended up at 6th. I wasn't 5th. I was, as high as 4th points in the season. And then because of how things shook out, the Zits and McMorrow, they both got in the wild card. So that bumped me back. Pete, what are you going to say about my team?
KB, I like you to make the championship. If I could book it right now, if I could book a future ticket, it'd be Big Brain versus Slow Stroke Kings.
All right.
That's the championship I want. I think Big Brain, even though George will probably get worked up, has the team to get there. But from the Slow Stroke Kings, like the grittiness, you grind out these wins, like find a way to win by 10 points, whether it be 150 to 140 or 110 to 100. I sense that magic, and I like a little Cinderella run here. I like a little Cinderella run.
Keenan, what fucking NIL deal did you sign with Pete that he's on your goddamn dick today? Everything. He loves you more than fucking Travis loves Jackson State. I mean, I hope that the deal
No,
he
he's George. He's got the matchups.
No,
He's got the matchups. This team lives and dies with the Buccaneers. This team lives and dies with
Listen,
the Bucs.
I'm not Trey
Panthers,
Travis.
Panthers and Jets in the next 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, I'm not Clay Travis, right? I'm not gonna knock you for taking whatever money Kieran handed you over to be in his little pocket there.
There were some phone
but I
calls
just wanted
before
to
the
know
show.
what the deal
We
was.
talked some things out, I will say. Some backdoor deals were possibly made, but no, I think Pete is just high on my team. And how can you not be? I'm the lovable underdog. Mikey's a team that's been ranked as high as 1st place or as high as 1 in the power rankings. We'll get into that matchup a little bit later. Right now, we'll comment team by team, but I just got a good, consistent team, and I think if I just, hit the right wave, I think it could be great. And how can you not love me? We'll move
I
on.
can't
Though.
believe that Pete stole my take from last episode.
Wait, which
Like,
one?
has anybody? I was the one that said that your team was the one to watch out for last episode when we said, who do you like? Like, kind of like, who do you like that's not one of the favorites? And I said that your team was the one that I liked because it was scrappy. And here Pete is, a week after signing his NIL deal, saying the same exact thing as me. So
yeah, but I did the research, George. I did the research. This team lives and dies with the Buccaneers, and they're playing the Panthers and the Jets. And then you've got Big Mac playing Jacksonville in the semis. Like I think they've got the matchups. They got the matchups.
I'm not even looking ahead to those weeks. We'll cover the matchup in a little bit. All right, moving on. 5th, I had 2 pins ranked there. I guess kind of funny enough, it ended up being McMorrow there. I think that if McMorrow held on to the division, it would have been George there. So I guess it's it's just kind of funny, but this ended up being my tied for my biggest negative variance and highest positive variance for George. George, you greatly outperformed my expectations, I guess. Maybe Pete has some quotes, but for now I'll give you the floor. Let's just say what you got to say.
We've been smashing expectations all year, and that's what we're going to continue to do. We're resting up this week. and then we're gonna come back. But yeah, all year people have told us we need this, we need that. People wanted to, sideline manage our team. We've stayed focused on the task at hand, and that's why we are where we are. And whatever Pete has to say, whether it's positive or negative, is irrelevant because he is where he is and we are where we are. And so I think that's all that anybody needs to see. And that's all that anybody needs to know when it comes to this show and the things that we discuss, and who knows what they're doing and who doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, you've really had things just kind of hit stride at the right time for you guys just down the stretch. In the last 5 weeks, you have 3 weeks that are 149.74 or better. You did have some, average weeks, 117, 104. I don't know what was going on those weeks. It's okay though. It happens to everybody. But people do worry that maybe you guys peaked at maybe peaked a little bit too early. You guys are coming off 6 in a row, and then now you have the bye week. I don't know. Maybe that type of rest just isn't good for a fantasy matchup. We saw it happen with Big Brain last year, right? They came out and then they lost to Bowen coming off the bye week, and then it even took McMorrow. He won by half a point to get to the final. So, maybe it's a little bit of peaking too early and then hitting that bye week that might not be good for you guys. You might have been better in that 5 slot. I don't know, George. What do you think about that? Are you worried about the rest, or do you think it's what you guys need?
I mean, I don't care either way, but don't stop comparing me to Big Brain. We have, the Pins and Big Brain have absolutely nothing in common.
Right, exactly. When they're in the championship and you're not, still have nothing in common.
We're a much tighter run organization than the Big Brain LLC. We're much more aligned at the leadership level than the Big Brain LLC, and we have a much better chance of winning our next matchup from the Big Brain LLC. So I don't care, whatever you want to say about us, but don't compare us to Big Brain. Thank you.
All right, that's fair. Pete, you got anything pulled from my preview? Maybe comments that I made about Team 2?
Yeah. I got nothing positive or negative, George. Just a question for you. So going back to Lex Lumpkin's preseason article, quote unquote, Team 2 Pins doesn't have the sexiest running back room with Damien Harris and Raheem Mostert. The running back room is now headlined by Damien Harris, Antonio Gibson, and Mondre. George, my question for you is, do you feel sexy now?
Too sexy for my shirt, Pete. Like too sexy for my shirt. But at the end of the day, it's not about whether or not I feel sexy. It's about whether or not we're able to, just like in sex, can you finish the job? So that's what we're trying to do, is finish the job.
Well, so just to kind of, refer back to something that I think you said, you were talking about, people were saying that you need this, you need that, and you didn't listen to them. You just did what you had to do. I would argue that you listened to me, because I said that you guys kind of needed to boost up the running back room. You didn't really have the, like I said, the sexiest room. You just had Damien Harris at the time. You just had Raheem Mostert. He ended up not really playing at all, I don't think. So would you say that you listened to me?
Kind of like a beat 5, you grab it last call and say, you want to go make out in the alley.
It's a fair comparison.
That's not bad. That's not bad. You've seen that How Many Beers video? We're kind of like,
so you did take my advice. You took my advice. You went out and got a running back. No,
we didn't listen to your advice. You told us that we needed to get a running back in like week 3. We didn't. We were able to continue to build momentum. And then we were able to get a great. And then the other thing is that your advice, I think, was more oriented towards get a back to help you this year win a championship, like a Cordell Patterson or some, a Kareem.
Well, and that would have been a better move. We
can't ignore the fact that we went out and got a young stud.
No, you can't ignore the fact that you allowed the virus to profit on Antonio Gibson at a point where he was not at his max value. He was not at what his highest value has been in his career. And you allowed them to make a profit off of what they traded him for. And, I think that the trade was, hey, it was clearly a win now move. So I guess that in a sense I was right.
But I don't think
so. I win now move with those, giving up those types of picks. But
But that's
Hey,
not
look.
how we looked at it as a win. I mean,
Hey,
win
you had
now
the
is
chance to get
now
Patterson
is
for
now
just
is
for one
several years.
first. You could have had Corderell for just one first, but you were scared
Now I
by
have
but you were scared because he wasn't going to be playing one Thursday night game, and you missed
now I
out. It's
have
okay.
Antonio Gibson. Now I have Antonio Gibson, Jamar Chase, Cooper Cup, Devontae Smith for years to come. So I don't know.
No,
I
it's
mean,
okay.
That
I'm
is
saying if-
that
yeah,
is sexy.
win-
That's a sexy lineup.
win
No,
now
you won't be able
is,
to draft anybody.
now you're
Right
like
now is the
Devon.
next 5 years. I definitely agree. We did make a win now move in order to
Yeah, no,
dominate
you're getting
for
in
the
that.
next
You're
5
getting in that
years.
Mikey Bowen territory. You're just you might just be too young. And then you won't be able to build any depth because you traded away
Sexy,
all those
though.
picks. But it's okay.
Very
I mean,
sexy.
you guys made a win now move, so you kind of sacrificed your
Young, but
future, and
sexy.
you did it to get the running back to help you win. So I guess in that
doubt.
sense, I was right saying that. But also on the other side of this ranking, we had McMorrow finishing fifth. I think that you can look at it and you can say that we did see some type of regression coming. I obviously still had him ranked. We can talk about it now. I had him ranked second, but I think that you can also attribute this regression to just all the injuries that he had, right? Zeke, he was not playing at 100% all year. He lost Henry, who after like a month just got passed in the rushing rankings. Dalvin Cook dealt with some injuries. Antonio Brown that helped build his wide receiver depth. Robert Woods, they also went down, so he lost a ton. So he can definitely blame it to that. I still think that there was regression coming, but George, I'll let you talk about him first because you've been very low on McMorrow all season. So
I mean, listen, I'm not gonna kill McMorrow. I was low on. I mean, like I told you, he was a guy that had the players but not the management skills, and that's kind of exactly how it played out. He's Frank Vogel. He's literally Frank Vogel. Frank Vogel can't coach it, just save his life. But he had LeBron, he had AD, he had the bubble, and he won a championship. But now when AD is being a little bitch, LeBron's in and out because he's older now. He's got to manage Russell Westbrook. He's got to manage Carmelo. Carmelo was actually on a pretty decent season. You see the flaws of his coaching come out. He's not really actually coaching anybody. He was coaching his talent, and that's how he won his championship. So that's the same way I look at McMorrow, which is not a slight at him. If his players are healthy, he'll have a good team because he won't have to do anything. He doesn't have to really think too much. And when his players are not healthy, then he goes on vacation in the middle of the season. So, that's just kind of who he is. And I don't know if it's a slight against him. If Derrick Henry was healthy, I think he'd be in the mix for things. He's not. So that's kind of just how I view him. I don't know if that's a slight or not.
yeah, I mean, exactly. He got his ring. He can kind of just relax. I think that's really all that needs to be said about McMorrow. It will be interesting to see how things play out in the dynasty aspect, just to see what type of dynasty manager he is, or if he was just cashing in on the success of a
Terrible
win now
Terrible.
drafted team. While
Yeah.
the rest of the league kind of zigged while everybody else zagged in the startup draft. So we'll see how he moves forward. But I feel like we can that's all we're gonna say about McMorrow. There's only two more teams to talk about. We can kind of breeze through them. I think George will have a lot of thoughts on one of them. But I don't think it'll be the Zits. I had them originally ranked at 3. They ended up at 4. That just came down to losing in the last week. He had Taylor on a bye. It was just, bad schedule and luck. But the Zits, they kind of just performed exactly where we thought they would. They were always in that 2, 3, 4 ranking. They got up to 1 at one point in the power ranking. So always a threat. Could make a good run. Obviously, now they have to deal with the extra game instead of getting a bye week, which they were in contention for before they lost. We'll see how that affects them. Pete, Pins, I don't know if you guys got something to say on the Zits.
I mean, not much. I think George said it early on that this team lives and dies on Jalen Hurts. Coming off injury on that ankle, I'm not sure if he's going to be as mobile as he usually is.
Yeah, but Bone could
yeah,
use the bye for that type of reason, right? He's got that, and then he's also got Pittman
exactly.
he's got Pittman that's going against he's got Moore going against Buffalo. He's got Pittman going against New England. So those are tough
Yeah,
matchups too.
Taylor and Pitts going against New England off a bye. Like
Yeah, so
it's tough.
you know,
Tough, tough
he
scheduling
definitely
luck.
could have benefited from the week, but you know, we'll get into their matchup in a second. But you know, we'll see. And then the last one, George, I'm sure you got something to say about them. I know you think they're fraudulent. I had them ranked 1. They ended up finished 2. Give me my flowers on that, but it's Big Brain LLC. Do you have anything to add to what you've already kind of said over the past few weeks about Big Brain?
Yeah, I don't know how I can make it any clearer, but I think this, the Big Brain, the Ravens, the Yankees, the Lakers. I mean, these are teams that have big expectations. They continually disappoint, but people want to project what they think that those teams should be on the rest of us and make us believe that that's the reality of those teams when all of the information that we receive is the opposite. Big Brain gets bounced in the first round of the playoffs last year after being a heavy favorite. Somehow they get ranked number 1 in the preseason rankings. Big Brain has a, monument, they're a middling team this year. Somehow they continually get ranked number 1 in the regular season power rankings. And then you look at them this year, look at their preseason power rankings, they thought they would be the best team in the league, and they weren't, they regressed. So it's just continually, they are projected to do something, they don't do that thing, and somehow they get rewarded for it.
This is true. They're a big hype train team. This is a big redemption year for them. So we'll see. They do have to buy again. They lost coming off the buy last season. We'll see if that is maybe something that it just kind of gets them in a funk. Maybe they can't come off of the buy like that. Pete, I don't know. You got anything to say about Big Brain? You kind of have a stake in them just because of what you did by giving them Joe Mixon for pennies. So this is kind of your championship run too. I don't know if you have any inspirational words to say for your team or not.
Yeah, great move by Big Brain going out to get Mixon. I agree. It's a great move by them. Yeah, so this was a big point of contention last week with George and I. We obviously went back and forth on the validity of Big Brain being a contender. So I went back and watched what I said last week, and I said, I'm not ready to throw Big Brain away. That's what I said. I didn't say that they were this dominant monster that's going to run through the playoffs. I said I'm not ready to throw them away because 3 out of the last 4 weeks, they've scored out more than 130 points. And I don't get how George can just toss them out when 3 of the last 4 weeks they scored 130 points. And then on cue last week, they scored 133 points. So this is 4 out of 5 weeks now, at least 130 points. George, you're talking about like not living up to projections or whatever, but I don't know. This is a points for league.
I do think I think we're getting to a point where we need George to make some type of bet where if Big Brain does win the championship, he has to do something. Because he has
it's just
been,
ridiculous.
I totally understand. Yeah, no, I totally understand when you just kind of sniff a fraud out, like I know when I see one type of thing. But at some point you also have to put your money where your mouth is, right? And this is a team that you keep saying that they don't deserve to be ranked so high. Sure, they regressed. They were supposed to be the dominant number 1, and they really had to
fight. But to throw them away is number 2, but absurd.
No, I think that much like
the last 4 out of 5 weeks, 5 games.
You gotta put something.
That's
on
like
the
a
line
third
here.
of the season.
I don't know what you guys are talking about, but go back and check who scored the most points in the league last week. Don't come at me talking about you got to put something on the line. My fucking reputation's on the line with this entire season. All right, Pete, you're not even in the fucking playoffs. You can't sniff the playoffs. We got nothing to talk about. All right.
Yeah, I mean that's just a classic.
It's
just a classic.
I literally have a potential.
Classic
Are you still talking when I'm trying to get this rant out? I literally have a matchup with Big Brain for my reputation would be on the line if I played him. So I think I got plenty of skin in this game, especially if they were to eliminate me and then
sounds like you're looking ahead a little bit.
Yeah. I'm like, I never said
I'm not looking ahead. Who scored the most points this week? Was it Big Brain?
Yeah, but you're talking about you're saying, it looks like I have a matchup. I have a matchup with Big Brain with my reputation on the line. That's what 3 weeks away from now. And
I'm saying I have you said I don't have any, you're saying I have to put something on the line. And I'm saying, what I'm saying is I've talked a whole lot of shit.
But what happens if they're there in the playoffs? What happens if they make it?
That's what I'm saying. I still look as stupid. What I'm saying is in this scenario, either I play them right? I play them head to head and they have the potential to beat me and then go on to win the championship. Or I'm not even there.
If they
lose
win,
and
if
they
Big Brain
win, and
wins
I
it
look
all,
stupid.
if Big Brain wins the championship, you have to eat hot chip on the show.
Like anytime, I'm not doing anything because all I've done is point out that Big Brain's a fraud, and some reason that really pushes your guys'
It
buttons.
should be a
And
hot
if that's
chip
something that upsets you, why do I need to bet something when I'm scoring 160 points and putting teams to bed? You know, I got 2 players to play, and I'm putting teams to bed on Sunday afternoon after the 1 o'clock games. I got to put some on the line. Big Brain came to my apartment. There goes Pete.
Yeah.
Pete can't handle the truth. Big Brain came to my fucking stadium where I played him away. I don't know how that works. And I beat him with a player out, but I have something to prove. Doesn't make sense to me.
No, I think that
I don't have anything to prove.
I think that when you're so down on a team and you're really trashing them every time that they're ranked highly, I think that you just need to put something at stake. So I think that you should have to eat hot chip on the show if they were to win it all.
I just disagree with that because I beat them head to head. I scored more points than them. I am a higher seed. In every way, my teams are better than them. So I don't.
That's all.
How is my team? Why is my team? How does my team not count as having my money where my mouth is? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Well, because you're saying that. Well, because you're just trying to say like, oh, it's reputation over everything. I think that if we're the friends who gamble, I think they need to put something more on the line. That's all.
But you're
the one that's saying you wanted to become more of the friends who gamble, didn't you?
You put them over me, and I explained why I thought that was fraudulent. If I was over them, and then if I was ranked above them in all these scenarios, and I was still coming at them, then that's like Big Brother coming at them for no reason. But in every single one of these scenarios,
I think you're just trying to.
Ahead of me.
I think you're just trying to backtrack a little bit. But that's
listen,
that's okay.
Facts are facts. When they outscore me, then we can talk.
Yeah, no.
But for now, every time they come up against me, I watch them.
The last thing I want to say on it, George, it was never, for me, my take, it was never you versus Big Brain. It was never who's the best team in the league. It was never you, they're better than you. All I said last week was I'm not ready to throw them away. And the points prove it. Last 5 weeks, 4 out of 5 weeks, 130 plus points. You saying that they're frauds and that they're just out of this, like they don't belong in the playoffs and they're pretty much done is absurd.
Yeah.
Is absurd.
All right, we'll see.
All right, well, we'll leave it at that. Let's do a quick playoff preview. We'll start with, so we got two pins in Big Brain. They are on what bye. They're the 1 and 2 seed. That's Big Brain and 2 pins, I should say. And then we'll start with the first matchup is Zitz versus McMorrow. So I think my initial thoughts are, I'd say the public is all over the Zitz. McMorrow's just been a team that's been in decline all season. Well, not all season, but for the entire second half. I sent the stats to the group chat probably last week, right, where he was scoring 140 points the first 6 weeks, and then since then he's scored like 104 points. So that's a team that's been struggling all season. Again, half season, whatever. Pollard hurt. Wentz is going against New England. He's starting Westbrook-Ikhine this week, it looks like. But I think the Wentz versus New England is really going to set the tone for his week. If Wentz comes out and somehow has a miraculous 20-something point performance, then that might put McMorrow in a really good spot. But I think also on the flip side, Bowen has Jonathan Taylor and Pittman. I think Pittman's a little more likely to struggle than Jonathan Taylor is. Taylor seems like a guy, like, even though the Pats are still very effective with shutting down the run, he can still get his. He's very good. But Bowen, he's got some question marks too. Robinson's been having a weird season. Moore's going against Buffalo. Lockett's been really good since Russ has been back, but DK's been having a down year. And then, as Pete had mentioned as well, you got Jalen Hurts. He's playing with he's coming off the ankle injury, and that was an ankle injury. Kyler Murray was the same, where he was out for much longer every week testing it. So Bowen has some question marks too. We were saying in the going over the rankings, he was a team that definitely could have benefited from having that bye week. But I don't know. What do you guys think? You guys got any predictions for Zitz versus McMorrow?
George, I'll let you go ahead. No, George, go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead, George.
Do you know he's frozen?
Yeah, Pete's saying this with the frozen screen. It's low key mad embarrassing.
I wonder if he would have this advantage if he was frozen.
I will add,
Yeah,
Bowen is projected to win by like 7 points, for what it's worth.
Yeah, I like Bowen in this matchup. Like I said, just McMurray will be one and done. This will probably be the last year. It depends on how Derrick Henry comes back, but this might be the last year that he's fantasy relevant. And then he'll kind of fade off in the sunset, be kind of a slot 18 to repeat. He'll float around in that cesspool of trash. So I like Zitz. I like the Zitz in this matchup, and then I do think that they might be putting an end to the 11-month reign of big brain of not big brain. Chris Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I mean, I think my initial reaction to it is that McMorrow's team is not a team that could win this matchup because of themselves, right? I think that it'll come down to how Bones guys perform, and I think that there are some spots where maybe they can, some key players can just not play well. Obviously, it'll be interesting to see how Taylor plays against New England. Like I already said, Pittman, he's in real danger to have a down week against New England. So is DJ Moore against Buffalo, and then James Robinson. He's been kind of irrelevant for the past couple weeks, and same thing with DK and Jalen Hurts. It's like if they don't show up and they've kind of been playing, they kind of play like we've kind of seen them play, or we're kind of expecting them to play with the matchup. Bowen could put himself in danger, but I don't think he has to worry about McMorrow going off and putting the game out of reach. It'll come down to how Bowen's team performs. Pete, what do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, no, agree. I got the Zits too. I don't like. I mean, that Taylor and Pittman going against New England and McMurrow having Carson Wentz, like that just doesn't add up to a lot of points for Bowen. Like comparatively. But I love that he's got Metcalf and Lockett against a COVID-ridden Rams team. I think both those could easily go off. But then he's also got on the verse side, he's got Stafford, who's on that COVID-ridden Rams team. So I don't know. I don't love the matchups on Bowen's side, but I think you said it best that it's Bowen's game to lose. His team puts up just like they usually do, and I think they win.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I guess that's really all that needs to be said. I think you just gotta like Bowen, and maybe it's one where there's a point where it kind of looks like we're scary, like it's a little scary, and then that Rams Seahawks game happens and all his points come flooding in. Obviously, McMorrow does have the late games, the Monday night games with Cousins and Cook. So he will have the opportunity to make a comeback, but
Could be a good finish.
What's that?
Could be a good finish.
Yeah, it could make for an interesting finish. It is a rematch. I feel like we're overlooking this. It's a rematch of last year's championship. Obviously, McMorrow barely beat Bowen there. It took like Derrick Henry getting like a garbage time carry that he had no reason to get. So I think Bowen kind of gets him back here. I think we're all in agreement. I think the public's very much on Bowen. Could be a little scary for him. But as long as his guys show up, I don't think he has to worry about McMorrow taking him out. So then we'll go to my matchup. The Slow Stroke Kings versus Go Tigers. At Go Tigers, I should say, because Mikey is the 3 seed. People have been saying that Mikey's a fraud 3 seed. That's not something I've been saying. I've had him ranked as high as first in these power rankings. I'm not taking him lightly. Cleveland's been having all the COVID issues, but Chubb has stayed out of that. It would be a shame if he had to go into protocol because this is a very good spot for him to get a lot of touches. That's something I fear. You got Burrow and Higgins starting for him. They're going to be in Denver. People worry about the Denver defense. They say that it's a good defense. It's allowing like the 4th fewest points per game to quarterbacks, I think. But they're in Denver. I think Joe Burrow is just going to air it out. 2 T Higgins. So that's probably going to be a lot of points for Mikey as well. Najee Harris, he's just going to kill the Titans. The Titans stink. Justin Jefferson, Cooper, they're playing division rivals. How can you not like Jefferson against the Bears, Cooper against the Giants? They'll show up. You get Gesicki against the Jets. You got Barkley in Dallas. That's his flex player. Justin Fields, bona fide stud. I think Mikey's going to put up 150, 160 points minimum this week. So it's going to be a tough mountain for me to climb. But I'm not sleeping on my team. I think I got Mr. Saturday Night. He's going against Indianapolis. I think a lot like Wentz, that's going to set the tone for my week. If Mac comes out slinging it and he gets me 20 points, then I got to be feeling good. But if he has another week like against Buffalo where he throws a couple passes, then that just kind of puts me at a disadvantage going into Sunday. I think that Clyde, I think he could kill the Chargers. We've seen the Chargers really struggle against running defense. Clyde's been getting the touchdowns. He's getting the touches since he's been back. Evans, he's going against New Orleans. That's a little scary for me. He always struggles against Marshawn Lattimore. He did manage a touchdown in the last game, so that was huge. But Godwin got 24 points in that game. Gronk will be able to play against him. All season, I've kind of just gone with my triumvirate of Bucks players. And, I just kind of go for the cumulative score. I don't really care if one person stinks it up because I've usually the other people just kind of pick that up. I do need Swift back. I do have options if you can't play. I got Thielen. I got Hollywood. Thielen might be back. He sounds like he's practicing. I don't know. He's just questionable. Hollywood, he's got what's his name? The backup for the Ravens. He's going to be
Bateman?
thrown to him. Yeah, but I also got Hunter Henry. I got
Tyler Huntley.
Yeah, I got Kendrick Bourne. I could play in there. So I do have my options if Swift can't go. And then James Conner, he is him. I got him for Juju Smith-Schuster. What a pickup by me.
Great pickup.
Yeah, so I got a solid roster. I think that I'm going to have a tough battle against Mikey. I think it will take about 170 points, maybe set like a league record for me to win. I'm not taking Mikey lightly. I know that you guys think that he's a fraudulent 3 seed. George, what do you think about Mikey's team? What do you think about him against me? What are your predictions for this matchup?
Who are these fake people that have said that Mikey's a fraudulent 3? This sounds like when
I've heard
Lamar
rumors.
haters are.
I've heard rumors.
This sounds like when Lamar haters. This sounds like when Lamar fans make up Lamar haters that they then can prove wrong. Making up somebody that said that his team is fraudulent. All that to say that I think it shouldn't be a good matchup, but yeah, I think King Connor might make the difference there, and I think him not being able to really get the production out of those backs that he would like is going to struggle. If Elijah Mitchell can come back, then that could be really big for him.
Pete, what do you think about this matchup?
I like that you're not taking him lightly. They're the favorite. Public's probably going to be on Mikey, but like I said earlier, this team, the slow strokers, they slow stroke their way to just edge out opponent after opponent by a couple points. I think you got the matchups to do it, right? Like Tampa Bay dropped a regular season game to New Orleans. Tommy Boy doesn't take that lightly. I think he could go out and throw for 400-something yards, 5 touchdowns, and obviously that's going to go to the trio of Edwins, Godwin, and Roberto Big Piece. Mm-hmm. And then Mac Jones set the tone for the week on Saturday night. I mean, Pats are coming off a week where they ran the ball, 500 times and threw it 3 times. Indy's probably, they've been in the lab for 2 weeks, probably trying to figure out how to stop this run. I wouldn't put it past Belichick to have Mac drop back from the shotgun first 20 plays of this game.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think Mac's going to come out and throw it like 30, 40 times.
Yeah. I think you like the stars. The stars look like they're going to align for a Cinderella run. And I stand by my pick for the Strokers to go to the finals.
I appreciate that. Personally, I think Mikey should be the odds-on favorite to win it all. So, I think I kind of got like a nightmare first-round matchup. So I'm just hoping that I can pull it out. I feel confident in my team. I hope that Mikey just takes it lightly on me this week and gives me a chance. George, you got anything to add on this matchup?
Nothing.
All right. So one other thing, we do have results. We got 6, 8. We got 9 votes on the poll. And right now it is a tie for who will be the Friends Who Gamble season 2 champion between, Zach Bowen got a vote at 1. Somebody just changed their vote. Oh my God. Wait, 2 people just changed their vote. Okay. So Zach Bowen got 1 vote. 2 Pins finishes second with 3 votes, and Big Brain takes the crown with 5 votes. So right now I'd say that Big Brain's the favorite.
This is gonna be fun, man. This is gonna be fun.
George,
it's funny because they've done absolutely nothing, and it's like I said, it's all the hype machine that has
130 plus points for the last.
And now I have to kill them. Yeah, and that's
130 points.
That's the responsibility of the people's champ.
I will say on
responsibility
me and
people-
Mikey's matchup, I do think it would be best for content if it was the Kings versus two pins. You know, it would be interesting. I think George and Mikey's group chat would be blowing up if they were facing each other. That would probably be good for them. That would be good, you know, a good bonding experience. But I think the show would love to see the two of us go at it, and maybe next year Slippery Pete can join us in the playoffs.
No,
I don't know. Maybe
no.
maybe if we get renewed for like a second contract, like fourth, fifth year or
24.
something, you could.
24, 25.
Yeah.
You don't need to
Um,
worry about me till then.
but that's the end of everything that I got. I don't know. Maybe I'll split this into like two things. I'll get like the playoff preview out there first, and then we can do like a overall power rankings. Maybe I could try and drop this playoff preview like now. You know, like tonight or something. I don't know. I'll see how long this ran because we've been on for.
Don't show up to, do not show up to the show if Big Brain loses in the playoffs. Just cancel the show. Pete, you especially, if you come on this fucking show if Big Brain loses, that'll be the last, that'll be the worst thing that's ever happened. Don't do it. Just skip it, cancel it, say you have work, say you're sick. Do not come on this show. And if we're the ones to beat them, I'm gonna cancel the show for you guys so you don't have to hear it.
Well, that would
It's
be the
gonna
championship show as well. So,
It's gonna be bad. I don't think we'll see him. But if we do, don't.
why you guys don't
come
think
back
that you'll
on the
beat me
show.
in the second round? Is that what you're saying?
Don't come back on the show. Did you just call your shot? No, that's Mike McCarthy. That's Mike McCarthy.
No, I'm not looking past Mikey. I never would. I feel like that kind of covers everything, though. You guys got anything else to add?
George, I hope you had a great day.
I'm good.
I hope you get a win in your flag football game today.
George, what position do you
Yeah.
play? Flag football.
Playmaker? Nah, I play corner. Left corner.
No offense.
They don't really throw my way. I do play offense. I play in the slot, but I'm not really an offensive weapon. I'm really a defensive guy.
Do you guys do like
That's
the linemen? That
The
they
one-
play with like your hands behind your back.
Nah.
What do you do? What do you do for
Lineman
an
can
O
run.
line?
I have been
Here's
told
the
that I'm the
snapper.
reincarnation
Here's
of Jeff
the
Saturday
snapper
of
and
flag
then-
football.
And then there's a rusher. So like the
Oh,
guy
so
there's
one-on-one?
like somebody who snaps and then they rush. Huh?
It's just like a one-on-one. Like the guy snaps.
Nah,
and
because the
just-
guy that snaps it can go out for a pass.
Okay.
So that's why.
But if there's a
it's-
rusher, then like the ball gets snapped. You just got like a free shot at.
no, so it's,
No,
it's
you just
five
dump it
Mississippi.
to
Five
the
Mississippi.
center if he rushes.
Guys, it's
Yeah, but then it would
five
just be
Mississippi.
then every play would just be like a 2-yard dump off. And
It's 5 Mississippi. They can't.
oh,
rush
okay,
right away.
okay.
5 Mississippi.
That makes sense.
Well, Mississippi,
Um,
Mississippi. All right.
all right.
Hey, Pete, I hope the date went well. Oh, this is still recording. Cut this
Oh, we're still
out.
recording.
Turn this off.
We'll go off the record.
I want to go a little
Pause
off the record,
recording.
and I
No,
gotta run.
stop recording.